Hi everyone, this is Dr. Stephanie Sarkis, and welcome to an episode of Talking Brains, where we talk about psych issues, we talk about therapy, and today I'm going to talk about gaslighting. So first, if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and my website, stephaniesarkis.com, and you'll see all these episodes on the website. I have a new book coming out October 2nd, so that's Tuesday, so just a few days from now. It's called Gaslighting, Recognize Manipulative and Emotionally Abusive People and Break Free. And that will be available at Amazon and all the major book retailers, also available on my website. So I was answering some questions on Quora today, and one of them is, what is gaslighting? Do you have a good example? I think this is a great question because the term gaslighting is it's a newer term, although it has been around a while. I mentioned in the book that the first mentions of it were, there's a movie called Gaslighting. That's a movie that was made in the 1940s. I highly recommend you watch that because it talks a little bit about, well, actually a lot bit, about how gaslighters work, their manipulation tactics on a pretty severe scale. So I recommend that movie. I think it's called Gaslight. Yeah, it's actually called Gaslight. And actually, I feel like I need to look it up in my book just to see if that's the title of it. So let's see. Yeah, it's a 1944 movie, Gaslight, written by George Cukor, starring Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer. So I would recommend that you look at that one. So basically, gaslighting is a form of emotional manipulation. It's a form of emotional abuse where you are told that your reality is not your reality. So you are told that what you're seeing and what you're hearing are not true. And the goal is that the gaslighter wants you to become more and more dependent on them. So I'm going to go through a little bit about the symptoms or signs of gaslighting. And then we can talk a little bit about what to do if you're in a relationship with a gaslighter. Now I'm going to talk about gaslighting from a personal relationship standpoint. The book also has a chapter on gaslighting on a societal political level. It's got a chapter on gaslighting in the workplace. It's got a chapter on gaslighting in cults. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about just the personal relationship aspect because it is a form of abuse. So if you are being gaslit, some of the behaviors that you'll see are first, like I said, you're told that you didn't hear or see something when you could have sworn that you saw or heard something. So the gaslighter tells you that they're going to be staying late at work that night. And that's what you think is going to happen because, that's what they tell you. And most people, when they say what they're going to do, they do it. So the gaslighter shows up at a different time. They show up early. They will tell you that they're going to be home at 6. They wind up staying late at work until 9. And they say, no, I never told you I was coming home at 6. But you could have sworn that they told you that. It's telling you stuff that's different than what they said or heard. And the idea, again, is that you start questioning your sanity. You start wondering, well, maybe I heard them wrong. Maybe they didn't really say that. The idea, again, is to make you rely on a gaslighter more because you're taking their version of reality as the reality, when in fact that they're lying. Gaslighters are blatant liars. They will lie even if there's really no reason to lie. They lie to get control over people. And unfortunately, if you're in a relationship with a gaslighter, they will lie to the point where they are continually cheating, and they will lie about that. They also project, which means that they blame you for behavior that they are doing. So if you have a gaslighter that's continually telling you that you're cheating, or they're convinced you're cheating, you're going to go out and cheat, or you stay late at work because you're cheating, it may be that they're actually cheating. Because if they accuse you of the thing they're doing, then the attention's on you and not on their own behavior. So again, this is projection, and this is where they accuse you of doing something. So they may even call you a gaslighter. They may say that you're being abusive, and you may think, well, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything that's abusive. But again, they're blaming you for their behavior. Gaslighters tend to have egocentric personalities. That's egocentric. And that means that they think that everyone else is crazy and they're the only one that's okay. So when you try to talk to a gaslighter about their behavior, it's usually that conversation is not going to go anywhere. They may wind up just blaming you because they think that there's nothing wrong with them. And that's one of the reasons why people that are gaslighters, it's very difficult to get treatment because people that are gaslighters don't always, they usually don't think that they have a problem. Now, if you have someone that you're in a relationship with and they say, I've read this stuff about gaslighting and I think I'm doing that stuff, then that person may have a shot at getting help because they are admitting that they have a problem. Gaslighters with personality disorders like narcissism, histrionic, antisocial, borderline, again, they don't admit that they have an issue. So again, if you have someone that admits that they have gaslighting issues, they maybe will do pretty well with treatment. Usually if people say that they're gaslighting and they need help for it, those are people that grew up with a gaslighting parent and they learn gaslighting behaviors as a way to, as a survival mechanism. So they carry those behaviors into adulthood, and we refer to those as fleas from the saying, if you lie down with dogs, you'll get fleas. And they're behaviors that you carry on and you practice as an adult based on your patterns of childhood, but you don't really need those behaviors anymore. So again, if you have a gaslighter that says that they think they need to get help and then they do take those steps to get help, then that person usually has a better shot than someone with that egocentric personality that thinks that they don't have a problem. Also, gaslighters will tell you that other people think you're crazy. That's a real popular thing for gaslighters to do, is to say that so-and-so says you're crazy, or everybody knows you're crazy, because calling someone crazy is dismissive. It really makes the person that's the victim of gaslighting question whether they can rely on anybody else. The goal is isolation from everyone else except the gaslighter. The gaslighter wants you within their orbit, and they don't want you to have to rely on anybody else for anything. They really want control. So again, if you are told that everybody else thinks you're crazy, well, then you're not going to go to anybody else for help, right? And that's exactly what the gaslighter wants. They also do something called splitting, which is pitting people against each other. So the gaslighter will say, well, you know, your sister said something about you and I don't really want to tell you, but it's pretty bad. And of course you're curious. So you go, well, I don't know. What did she say? And then you hear this horrendous thing that your sister apparently told you. And then you get mad at your sister and stop talking to her, when in fact the gaslighter is lying to you. Your sister never said anything of the sort. Gaslighters love doing splitting behavior because it pits people against each other and they like seeing the drama that they've caused. So the gaslighter will just sit back and watch the drama and they'll be fine. And you're the one going, I can't talk to this person anymore because they said this bad stuff about me, and none of it's true. So whenever the gaslighter says so-and-so said something about you, automatically assume that's a lie. And if you do have questions about that, just calmly go up to the person in question and just say, hey, is everything okay between you and I? Don't even mention, what the other person said, the gaslighter said. Just say, hey, I'm just wondering if things cool between us, and seems like we're getting along okay. I'm just double checking, and open that dialogue with your friend or your relative instead of automatically getting upset with them, because again, the gaslighter is probably lying about what that person said. Again, the idea is they're trying to isolate you, turn you away from people that could possibly help you out of the gaslighting relationship. Also, gaslighters put you on a pedestal when you first meet. Gaslighter tells you the best thing ever happened to me. I've never met anybody like you. This is wonderful. And it feels good because somebody's telling you how great you are. I mean, that makes anybody feel good. But they're doing it to the point where you're being put up on a pedestal. And that's idealizing you. But then you fall off the pedestal eventually, and it's a long way down. So that's called devaluing. And that's where gaslighter tells you that you can't do anything right. And that means that they start picking a little bit at you, saying, oh, well, I really don't like the way you're wearing your hair, to what you're wearing, outside, on your way to work. They criticize your driving. They criticize the way that you talk on the phone to someone. I mean, it's constant criticism because, again, either you are the most wonderful thing in the world or you're nothing to the gaslighter. And that's the way they go. They're very black and white, yes or no. They don't have any subtleties. So they either, again, think you're wonderful or not wonderful at all. So that's one of the really kind of the features you see in the beginning of the relationship that you are kind of swept off your feet. And that's called love bombing. The idea with love bombing is that, again, you're being showered with compliments and presents. And yeah, again, that feels good. But with gaslighting, if someone's a gaslighter, it's more than just regular falling in love with someone. It's like times 1,000. So of course you can see why people kind of get sucked into this. If you try to leave a gaslighter, they'll do something called hoovering, which is trying to suck you back in, because gaslighters have this what's called a narcissistic injury. They have this desperate need to fill a feeling of inadequacy in themselves. And again, they don't recognize this themselves. But if you try to leave a relationship, they will do whatever is in their power to get you back, unless they already have another relationship lined up, which a lot do. In that case, they'll drop you like a hot potato and you never will hear from them again. But if you're in a relationship with them and you leave, they will do whatever's in their power to get you back. They will tell you that things will be better. And believe me when I tell you that things will not get better. They will continue to get worse in the relationship. And again, a little bit later, we'll talk about what to do when you're leaving a gaslighter. So I also mentioned too that the chronic infidelity, if you've been in a relationship with a gaslighter, you probably want to get tested for STDs. These are not people that just have infidelity once or twice. This is a continuing pattern of infidelity throughout their relationships. The idea being that when things are shiny and new, everything's great, but as soon as the gaslighter feels like they're not getting all their narcissistic needs met, they will go on to the next person. They're always trying to get that narcissistic need filled. And that narcissistic need is an empty pit that will never be filled. You could do everything exactly the way gaslighter wants you to do it, and it will never be good enough. Let me say that again. You will do whatever the gaslighter wants you to do, and it still won't be good enough. You will never meet their expectations. Also, gaslighters will even get to the point where they hide your stuff, and then they'll tell you that you're irresponsible for losing it. Again, this is a mind game to make you question your reality and make you think that you're crazy. Because again, the more that you think that you're not thinking of things right and you're crazy, the more you rely on the gaslighter for their version of reality, which is exactly what they want you to do. They also will give you things and then later on tell you that you stole them from them. Gaslighters can also tend to have substance abuse issues. This is particularly the case when you're in a relationship with someone, you start seeing more clearly that someone does not have control over their alcohol use, and their gaslighting will get worse during those times. Things you also see from gaslighters are they will try to rationalize their substance abuse. They will also accuse you of being a substance abuser, so keep an eye out for that as well. So I was also asked on Quora, how do you leave a gaslighter? First, you have to think about your safety. Are you in a situation where you're in a relationship with a gaslighter where it could be dangerous? In that case, you need to plan ahead. You need to contact law enforcement if you need them to be there when you move your stuff out. You can also change the locks. I recommend that when people are ending a gaslighting relationship, that they cut off all contact with a person. And this is cases where you don't have kids with someone. So let's say you don't have kids with someone. Go radio silence, block their emails. Block all of their emails, not just the one they usually email them with. Block all of them. Block any phone number they can call from. Also, if you live in a gated community, tell the security people the person's name and also give them a photo of the person so they know who to look for. Because gaslighters are very manipulative and cunning, and they will find a way into your gated complex. Also, again, beware that if you leave a gaslighter, they will do whatever is in their power to get you back. Again, this is called hoovering, and you really need to watch out for this and not fall for it. Gaslighter will tell you, things are going to be so much better, and believe me, it never gets better. It continually gets worse, because as soon as the gaslighter knows that you're back in their clutches, they will start up the same behavior again. So that's hoovering. Again, don't fall for it. Now, again, sometimes if you leave the gaslighter, all of a sudden they just drop off the face of the earth, which, works out well for you. And that the reason why they're dropping off the face of the earth is that they found another narcissistic supply. And again, that's narcissistic supply. And what that means is that's someone that they think will try to fill that bottomless pit of need we talked about. If they do find someone else, again, you'll never hear from them again. And think about it as that actually works in your favor that you're not going to hear from them again, because then you don't have to deal with it anymore. So again, go radio silence, block them completely. And if you have stuff at their house, think about whether you just want to let that stuff go. Is it worth trying to get those items? It might be worth it. It might be a sentimental value. It might be a valuable item. So, think about that stuff. Do you really want to go back and have contact to get that stuff from the person? Again, you can also have law enforcement present when you are moving your belongings. Now, if you have kids with a gaslighter, that's a little bit different because you are going to have contact with them. Contact an attorney, find out what your rights are. in the situation, because that adds another added complications to it. So again, if you're going to leave a gaslighter, cut off all contact, go radio silence, block their emails, block their phone numbers. Also, let your friends and family know that if this person comes to ask for you, to not give them any information about you. They will do that. And people that carry messages for the gaslighter to their victims are called flying monkeys. That's from The Wizard of Oz. Flying monkeys carry messages from person to person. So you want to make sure that you tell people that if this person asks about you, that they're not to give any information about you. They're not to give your location. They're not to give what your living arrangements are. No information whatsoever. Really important to let people know that. If they ask you why, just say, just please honor my request to not do that. You don't need to get into why. So in extreme cases where you have someone that's stalking you, you can apply to get a temporary restraining order. It's also called a protective order in some states. And again, I would consult an attorney about that. Contact law enforcement if you are being stalked. If you are in a domestic violence situation, which gaslighting does count as emotional abuse, if you are concerned for your safety, again, contact law enforcement, contact a domestic violence shelter, because the time period where a domestic violence relationship is most lethal is when you leave. So again, if you're concerned for your safety, please contact someone and make plans. I want you to be really careful about your safety. And because that's most important is your safety. Don't leave your pet with a gaslighter. Make sure you take your pet with you. I know if you go to domestic violence shelters, some don't take animals, but that is changing over time. They will let you have a service animal. But again, don't leave your animal with a gaslighter, because gaslighters will tend to take out their rage on the animal. So please do not leave your pet with the gaslighter. So again, characteristics of gaslighting include blaming you for their own behaviors, blaming you for when they get angry. They blame you for the reason why they're angry. You also have projecting, where they tell you that you're doing something that they're actually doing, like infidelity. So again, they will tell you that you're cheating when they're the ones that are actually cheating. So also, they tell you that what you're seeing and what you're hearing aren't real. They also will blatantly lie about things they don't even really need to lie about. They'll tell other people that you're crazy. They will do splitting, which is pitting you against someone else. They'll idealize you, where they'll say that you're the best thing ever, and then they will devalue you. They also, again, will constantly cheat. They will hide your items and then tell you that you're responsible. They'll even hide their own items and then tell you that you stole them from them. They also, I didn't mention this before, but they also are really bad at giving gifts, because they don't pay attention to what you actually want and need, because they're so focused on their wants and needs. So they'll give you either like inappropriate gifts or gifts that are really kind of aren't anything that you really want. And they're usually pretty cheap too, because gaslighters are going to spend money on themselves, not on you. They may spend money on you at the beginning of the relationship, but towards after the honeymoon period wears off, the love bombing period wears off, they will spend no money on you. A healthy relationship, it's more moderated, the money spending. But in a gaslighting relationship, they'll spend a ton of money on you and then nothing. They'll even blame you for them not having a birthday gift. They'll say, well, you didn't tell me it was your birthday. And you're like, well, I have to tell you it's my birthday. What's up with that? But again, they will blame you for everything. Also, they'll, again, give you gifts, and then they'll say that, no, you took that from them. Right? So other than getting stuff in writing, I mean, how else do you prove that, that they gave this to you freely? So I always tell people, think about just not accepting gifts from these people at all, because it always winds up blowing up in your face. So again, if you're leaving a gaslighter, you need to go radio silence. You need to cut off all contact with them. You need to be aware of hoovering, them sucking you back into the relationship, because that is a very common occurrence, because they're trying to fill a narcissistic need. So that's a little bit about what gaslighting behaviors are and what to do when you're going to leave a gaslighter. And again, my newest book, Gaslighting, Recognizing Manipulative and Emotionally Abusive People and Break Free, is available on Tuesday, October 2nd. My website, stephaniesarkis.com. And again, on the Talking Brains podcast, hit that subscribe button and continue to join us. And we'll talk about psych issues, therapy, and all sorts of brain-related stuff. Bye, and have a great day.